it's quick. It's not fast when it's stock. You got to put a downpipe on it and an intake and a tune, and then it's fast. And then it gets really fun. Welcome aboard my 2016 Ford Focus ST. Now the big question is a stock Ford Focus ST fun to drive? Because a lot of you guys might be just curious in general, but a majority of you are probably thinking, if I'm gonna ball out and buy a Focus versus a lot of things, I'm probably not gonna have money to buy parts right away, which it's a huge bummer. So you want to know, is it fun to drive when it's stock? And let's talk about it. First things first, front wheel drive, no big deal. Everyone chill out. Everyone chill out. I've driven a handful of cars. My first real car was a Mazda Speed 3 front wheel drive. And I think it was a beast. It was fun. It was super fun. And this car is just like it. And a lot of people think, oh, because it's front wheel drive, it's not fun. You can't have fun. No, but if you think about it, 90% or more of your driving is not going sideways or anything. So when you have front wheel drive, 90% of the time you're not mad. You're sometimes thankful in the corners because you can pull really hard around corners. So this car is great for cornering. It handles great. When you're going around a corner fast enough, you can feel the front end just dig into the asphalt or the concrete, whatever you're driving on, and the rear end feels so light, it's just hanging on with the tires in the back that are sticky enough. So you feel it almost lift up in the back. It's barely hanging on, and you go around that corner, you're like, dang, I zipped through that thing. So these cars are really fun handling wise. Great platform for autocross or something of such. Ooh, look, a golden blue STI, or it's a WRX. If I haven't posted already, a Subaru video is coming. There's so many parts I need to show you guys for that build. So if you're new here, I also have a 2015 STI that is my beloved pride and joy. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. If you're new here, you might want to hit that subscribe button. But also, if you're new here, appreciate you stopping by. This channel is all about building cars and learning each model so we can gain confidence in the garage if we want to work on that model, or if we want to buy that car. We know everything we can from this channel. So when you go to buy it, you know what you're looking for, you know what's what under the hood, you know anything and everything about this vehicle. That's the goal. So this is answering one of those questions. And another thing about this car I just deem as a negative is it's a cable shifter setup. Now you can get shifter bushings and it makes it feel a little notchier. You can buy an actual Ford short shifter, whole mechanism that goes in here. That's the whole shifter mechanism. And I haven't driven with one of those yet. So hopefully I can get one of those for this car and see if it's really worth about $300 or $400, which would be rad. But the cable does kind of suck. It doesn't feel like a bolt action rifle. Though it is, this car in general, including the shifter, is the easiest stick shift daily driver, any sort of four-banger platform is the easiest stick shift to drive of them all. The clutch is as light as a feather. The shifter, you know exactly what gear you're in every time. It's a decently long throw, nothing too crazy, nothing too bad, but nothing you should be afraid of. Downshifting in this car and rev matching is actually a little bit difficult because it is so choked up from the stock intake and downpipe that it doesn't let the revs float around at all. So when you try and rev match, it almost just doesn't want to get up to where you want it quick enough. So at first it's kind of weird learning the timing, but I have driven one of these that's catless with an intake and blah, blah, blah on a tune, and it is so easy to drive. It opens this thing up exactly where it needs to be. So when you're catless downpipe, you have a cat back, you have an intake, these cars are a whole different animal, and they are so much fun, and it really doesn't take that much money. I mean, you got to buy a $600 access port. I think a downpipe is around $400 and something. Catback is going to run you between $600 and $1,200. So in the grand scheme of things, yeah, that's a lot of money, but that's something you can totally work towards over a year or two. Torque steer, everyone wonders about that. So if you've never driven one of these cars, the Ford platform has some sort of stability control, I know, with using the brakes to kind of help you not steer into a curb or a median or something crazy like that. Now, I have a lot of experience with torque steer because of my Mazda Speed 3, and that thing, the day I sold it, I let the guy that bought it He wanted to rip on it because he was very serious buyer. I was like, by all means, man, it's a great time. Go ahead, but be very careful. Let me tell you something. You rip on this thing in first or second gear, it will throw you into the median, curb, whatever, crowd, anything near you. I don't remember, it pulled right. So he gets on in first gear, and the wheel literally goes like this, and I go, oh no. And luckily, he goes, whap, and goes off by the curb, and he just barely lets off and saves the thing, and I go, I wasn't kidding, and he's just all breathing all heavy. So this car, though, compared, torque steer is almost non-existent at this level of modifications. Now this car I'm driving isn't 100% stock. The one I did find that I like, with the darker color, with the clean body, with the clean title, with the lower miles, and the year that I want, over 2015, I did have to get one that has an MBRP catback on it. So that thing it's a little beat, it's a little, just worn. It wasn't taken care of, so it doesn't look very pretty, so I will be getting rid of it. So if any of you guys want an MBRP catback and you're local to Phoenix, I'll be selling this one cheap here soon, so stay tuned, stay subscribed to the channel, and I'll let you know when I'm getting rid of that. Also, the best place for those things is on my Instagram, so make sure you guys check that out. I'm always posting rad content and photos on there as well. Another thing that makes this car fun to drive is, out of the gate, like, this thing is sporty as all get out on the inside. You've got your shifter in a good spot. You got the seats that hug you pretty tight. Now, these aren't even the Recaro seats that some of you guys have seen. Those, like, hug you super tight. Like, they're almost hard to get in and out of, which I actually, as a daily, like these seats better, because the other ST that I had a lot of time in, it was awesome when you're driving it hard, but most of the time you're just like crawling in and out, and like, yeah, value-wise, when you go to sell it or whatever, I'd rather have the Recaro ST3 package or whatever it's called, but it is what it is. I found this one, I was like, I'm not even tripping. These seats are so freaking comfortable. But what I wanted to get at was the gauges up here are awesome. So you have your temperature for your oil, and then you have your boost PSI and your oil PSI. And then down here you have your fuel level and your coolant temperature. So when people hop in here and they see those three gauges up there, they know you are not messing around, and it adds just kind of a fun, pleasant experience. And this car adds a feel of, it has like a very calm car enthusiast vibe. So like, if you hop into a half-caged Evo or Subaru or Mustang or GTR, people are like, this dude's an animal, he probably drives crazy, you never know. If he's your buddy, you obviously have only good things to think. But with new people, when new people get in a car like this, they're just kind of like, oh, this thing's cool, this is just kind of like a regular Ford Focus. But then they feel you get on it and you hit that boost, and they're like, oh, there's something extra going on here, and they really like it, and they see the gauges up there that aren't too intimidating, so it's a good time. You're getting on the gas. What I was saying was, you're getting on the gas, I'm in second, pinning it, going to third. I put it in third gear. I don't get on the gas. It's hanging at 4,000 for like a couple seconds, so when you do let out the clutch, it doesn't go below where RPM it should be in, so it's a much smoother driving experience. It's almost like driver assist in like a video game. It helps with matching your revs, so when you're driving, it's a much smoother experience. So this thing is so beginner friendly. It's makes for the smoothest driving experience you could think of for someone who's new to driving stick. So like, I'm hesitant with letting certain people drive my cars that are stick, because I don't want them to burn the clutch, or just do the wrong thing to just hurt the transmission or whatever. Cost you money in the end is what's scary. Or you burn the clutch and then it just never drives the same, which sucks. You never want that to happen. But this car, the clutch is feather light. It bites like really hard, which is unusual. Ford did a good job at making this, handle well as far as the clutch goes, but still user friendly. And then, yeah, it's just a perfect car for someone new. So what I plan on doing is, once I get this car exactly where I want it to be, I'm going to go get everyone's reactions that I'm close to, that whether they're experienced driving stick or they've never driven stick, I'm totally comfortable with letting them drive this car. I can just instruct them to let the clutch out all the way before you get in the gas. And the way this clutch feels, it's just, people get it. When a clutch is super heavy, people get all scared. They lift it up 3/4 of the way, and then they get on the gas, and it burns it the whole way out. So you guys know how it is if you drive stick for a while, letting other people drive. So this car is totally user friendly, from shifting to rev matching to things like that. But as far as downshifting, it does not help you at all. It's taken me a while to get used to it. I'm not exactly perfect at it. So once I get that downpipe, since I've driven it, I know it will be completely different, and then the intake to complement it. So I'm looking forward to that day. But you definitely feel the boost kick in at around 4,000, and it pulls all the way through. This turbo on here does kind of fall off on the top end, which isn't a big deal. It's a little baby snail. But as far as being stock, this car is super fun to drive. For what you get, it's reliable. That's the big thing. Is a lot of people think like, oh, it's boring. I'm like, you think you got a little 2.0 liter turbo that you're throwing over 20 pounds of boost at completely stock. Like, it's gonna hit. It's gonna feel fast, and it's a lot of fun. And the torque steer isn't bad at all. Like, there's none right here. I was in first gear. I know if I turn the traction control off, it will have a little bit more. The car runs a little smoother when you're driving around fast, but as far as a daily, this doesn't get any better. And I have this cat back on here, and it's not that loud at all. It has a little bit of drone in the back seat, but it's just enough hum to make it a good time. One thing that I do notice with most front-wheel drive cars is the turning radius is not that good, especially in parking lots going around slow. I'm assuming it has to do with the axles going to the wheels. It doesn't give you much turning radius. Nothing to freak out about. Just something to get used to. You have to pull into parking spots a little wider. But like 100% thoughts on this car. If you're looking for a fun daily driver that you can fit a couple of your buddies in and just rip around, have space, easy to drive, anyone can drive it, this thing is the ticket. The very last thing I want to mention, I'm not a Ford guy. I've always been a Chevy, Silverado truck kind of guy, just in general, all cars. I've never been a Mustang, always been a Camaro kind of guy. I do have my negative thoughts about the newer Camaros, of course, like everyone else. I mean, they're still sick though. But this car, just like their trucks, has that feel of where you don't hear any cracks or, little bumps. It's just interior feels like one solid piece. And that is something that I favor so much. After my last Nissan 350Z project, it has a bunch of miles on it. That thing rattled, cracked, everything, and I'm just like, dude, this sucks. It's so annoying. It drives my OCD crazy. But these cars, just applause to Ford, because even at 47,000 miles, I just got this car. It doesn't have one single thing I could complain about as far as cabin noise. Speakers sound good. It sounds very insulated. It's just an awesome feeling car. So I really, really dig it, and I'm stoked to get started on this build and go more in depth with it. But make sure you guys check out the playlist on the channel for the Focus ST. If you're new here, that is where you'll find all the videos. You can check it out, learn everything. We're just getting started. So if you're coming here late and this video is kind of old, you might want to go look at that playlist, because there's going to be a lot of rad videos. So we already did by the time you're watching this, I've already done the wing riser DIY, so that'll be coming soon. And see you when I see you.